Let us put more light on that and to give you more understanding and in fact the better understanding through a corporate presentation, I'll call upon Nisha Kushwaha, Head Sales and Strategic Partnership, Harrison Assessments India. Can we have a huge round of applause for her? Well, she will take you through an absolutely interesting topic today. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nisha Kushwaha, and I represent Harrison Assessment India Limited. And the topic for today is paradoxical leadership. So now, as business leaders and professionals, we all have to make a lot of choices. These could be very, we are battling with competing goals, conflicting values, and every now and then we are faced with challenges where we have to take a lot of decisions. Now, these could be external and internal. External paradoxes could be very simple, like embracing change or going with stability. For leaders, maybe talking about localization or going with globalization, so on and so forth. So, to understand paradoxical leadership, let's understand what is a paradox first. So, a paradox by dictionary meaning is two statements that appear very oppositional or contradictory to each other, but are very, very complementary to each other. So, striking a balance between both is very, very important to become an effective leader. So, general view of leaders, and traditionally we've been saying that an effective leader is somebody who is able to make clear-cut choices. They are able to look through very clearly and come up with choices which are very, very clear. With paradox, we are saying that probably there could be many areas where you have to make choices and to do both the things. So when we talk about paradox, it is two different, like poles apart. And how do you strike a balance between the two? Similarly, paradoxical traits are something which appear, like these are two traits which appear opposite and synergistic. So now, leadership generally is a balancing act between two seemingly conflicting traits, and we are saying to be truly effective leaders, we need to know how to balance this. And so basically, if you go by the definition, paradoxical leadership is characterized by leaders' behavior that are seemingly competing yet interrelated to meet competing workplace demands simultaneously and over time. So when we talk about paradoxes and making a choice, if you see on the screen, we are saying that there could be these two situations and these two things could be overlapping at some stage of life. So there could be a person who is capable yet lost. There could be somebody who is vulnerable and powerful at the same time, successful and traumatized. For example, maybe that person is very successful, but the success and the achievement is coming up with some kind of stress, and they're not able to manage the stress properly, and that's why traumatized. Something like loving and questioning. One simple example of one paradox that we keep battling. Any parents here? As parents, we all know that one paradox we have to battle with all the time, and that's tough love. We have to be loving to our children and at the same time tough. It is a paradox that we are battling, and we are balancing it every day. We are being loving also, and at the same time, we are being tough and disciplining them and making them do the right choices. So that's one example that we are doing. Now, Harrison Assessment has a whole lot of traits. So we have an assessment which is about 25 minutes of assessment where you self-assess yourself, and we come up with 175 traits. Those 175 traits are then plotted on a paradox graph, and then we understand what is the balance that you have. Before we get into that, just wanted to give you some brief onto Dr. Dan Harrison, who is the founder and CEO of Harrison Assessment. Dr. Dan has been in counseling psychology. He has done a PhD in mathematics, and he's still learning and doing a lot of research. With that, he has created a mix of mathematics and psychology, and has come up with paradox technology. This is a patented technology of Harrison assessment. So what do we do there? On a graph, we have one side which is a gentle trait and the other side is a dynamic trait. So in this case, frank is a dynamic trait and diplomatic is a gentle trait. So what happens? So general understanding of any trait is if we have a high score in something, let's say if somebody is very frank, we think that's a genuine strength. But is it a genuine strength? Yes or probably no. It can be it can become your derailer as well. It can be a significant weakness as well. So for example, if you are a very high frank person, if you're very strong in frankness and you're not strong in diplomacy, what's happening here? You are always very straightforward, you are to the point, you just go by the flow, and without that part of the diplomacy, you can come across as a blunt person. Same thing happens when you have a lot of diplomacy and low frankness. What happens then? When it's very high diplomacy, you are always trying to be nice and diplomatic and you're not able to put your point across. And that's where as a communicator, you fall short. So when you have a right balance between the two, let's say if you have a high score in diplomatic and frank, that makes you a very good communicator because it eliminates the bluntness and evasiveness. So you're able to put forward your point, you being gentle and nice, and that's why you're not hindering any relationship. Apart from that, you're able to put your point across as well. Similarly, if we look at one more paradox, enforcing and warmth and empathy. So this is a driving paradox. It talks about drive. So let's say if somebody is high in enforcing and also high in warmth and empathy, they fall in the fourth quadrant, which is compassionate enforcing. Compassionate enforcing in itself, in the word itself, it gives the entire meaning. What exactly it means? So let's say if you are in the fourth quadrant, so let's start from the first one. So let's say if you are high enforcing and low warmth and empathy, you will fall in the harsh quadrant, which means you would be enforcing without any empathy. You're not being empathetic and you're only concentrating on being very direct and enforcing the rules. What happens then? It can result in resentment in the employees and the retention could be affected. Same thing happens when you have a high warmth and empathy and low enforcing. What happens then? In that case, you are warm and empathetic, you are permissive all the time. What happens? There's a complacency culture, and there could be poor performance as well. So once I was, I was having a debrief session with one of the senior leaders, and we were talking about this. And when we came to this point, he could really relate to it because his entire team was taking him for granted. Just because he was always permissive and he was not able to enforce and put things in the right manner. Same thing when you have a low enforcing and low warmth, it becomes cool permissiveness, which automatically will have poor retention, poor performance, and it will be a confused culture. People will not know what needs to be done. At the same time, if you have a right balance, and if you are strong in warmth and empathy, you are holding on to people, you are putting your point across very comfortably and very nicely, and that's how you are making positive impact on people. You are maintaining positive relationships. Along with that, you are also holding them accountable, which is very important for a leader. You need to hold people accountable as well as have good relationships. In Harrison assessment, we have 12 paradoxical pairs that we measure. Some of them relate to interpersonal skills, some of them relate to achievement, some of them could relate to leadership. It talks about whether you have a balanced view on coaching mindset, balanced view on how do you talk about opinions, whether you are open-minded, self-assuredness with self-improvement, Are you direct and also tactful? Fulfilling your needs, are you doing that? And also helping others. Logical or intuitive? Self-motivated, and along with that, do you also have stress management? Because if you are self-motivated and you don't have stress management, you will end up having very stressed achievements, which will have a burnout kind of a situation. You may have some mental health problem or anything else, any other health related issue. Determination with creativity, orderliness and adaptiveness. So are you rigidly orderly, or you also have the flexibility to change? Holding others accountable and also maintaining rapport. Making decisions with collaborations. So it is important to have a collaborative decision making. Coming back to the communication paradox. So if you have high, frank and diplomatic, you will be in the forthright diplomacy quadrant. Now, can this also help in engagement? Whether being a paradoxical, when having right kind of balances on the paradox, will it help you engage people well? We'll go through that. Before that, I would like you to listen to Dr. Dan Harrison on engagement. Would you?
For engagement, the key thing is to find out what people want, what's important to them, what are they interested in, because engagement is really an internal psychological process. Even though you can look at engagement externally as does the person, put in that discretionary effort to achieve the organization's mission, but internally it's a matter of them doing the things that they like doing. It's a matter of being interested in the subjects that are at hand. It's a matter of having their needs related to employment fulfilled. And it's a matter of them being realistic about meeting their needs with a particular company. So it provides the data that you need to have a conversation which will engage the individual. And because engagement is very much occurs on an individual level. So what engages one person will not engage another person. So it's that dialogue, it's that discussion that you need to have, which is directed and pointed toward what both parties need. And by doing that, you get engagement.
So as Dr. Dan Harrison said, engagement is very, very personal. It is very, very different for different people. What engages me for an organization is very different what somebody else get engaged with. And coming back to the topic, how being balanced on certain traits would help you in engaging people well. So when frankness is combined with diplomacy, leaders create an environment of trust, transparency and accountability, because you're coming across frankly and also not hurting people's feelings. If you're not diplomatic enough, it can damage engagement and lead to high employer turnover. Top 3 ways that combining frank and diplomatic benefits. First could be improved relationships, as I spoke about that. This can be in your professional life as well as personal life. So when we talk about Harrison assessment and the reports that come out, the paradoxical balances that come out, we are not only talking about the professional setting, we are also talking about you as a person in your personal area also. So many a times people come up and say that they are battling with certain kind of things at home. So maybe with their children at home, with their spouses at home, it will generally help you with the improved relationships. Enhanced reputation, why? Because as a person you are coming across as a very trustworthy and an honest person, and you are able to handle very difficult conversations easily. Now because you are frank, you are able to put forth your point and you are diplomatic. So because of that, that supports handling difficult conversations very well. And improve decision making, obviously, because your communication is clear and to the point, it helps in improved decision making. So this basically talks about what kind of paradoxes are there and how do we help you understand those. Harrison assessment, as I said, we have an evaluation of about 175 traits. From that, we can pull out reports which can relate to starting from recruitment to succession planning to employee development and so on and so forth. Somebody rightly said initially in one presentation, whatever is measured can get improved. So first part of entire journey is the awareness. If we have the self-awareness about ourselves, what is something that I like, what is something that I don't like, what is something which has a, what is something that motivates me. We have a whole lot of understanding on what motivates a person, what kind of task behavior preferences you have, what all are the paradoxical balances you have, and understanding on that can create awareness, and probably post that you can work on that. And we have a report that we can generate for you all as a complimentary part of this session. You can get registered with us. Me and my colleague Saida are here. You just need to give your name and email address to us, and we just get you the assessment. Once you go through the assessment, it is a 25 minutes assessment. We can generate reports and give it to you all. That's all from me. Thank you so much. Sorry? No, it's okay. Anybody has any questions? I thought I've gone ahead of my time.
I think this is a platform, to exchange ideas and know more about things. So in case if anybody has any questions, feel free. We still have 2 minutes left. Anyone? Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us, and I shall request you to please be on stage for the felicitation of Memento. Calling upon next is, I'll request Ms. Madhu Subramani, General Manager, Human Resource and Admin. Please come on stage to felicitate our speaker. So Madhu, I think this topic really needed, and I think it is a very platform wherein we can exchange ideas, right? And you came in and we thought this was open house for everything. So thank you so much for guiding us, and can I request a Memento, please?